Yes.
Yeah. A very good afternoon. Happy New Year and happy Diwali to all of you. Day before yesterday, we had wonderful Diwali get together organized by Ahmedabad branch. So, if I have missed anyone, wishing you all a fantastic year ahead. Welcome to this unique session on income tax portal by our own chartered accountant CA Sanjay V. Shah. Let's begin the session with ICI motto. I request each one of you to place right hand on your heart for ICI motto.
य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति य एष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्मिमाणः निर्मिमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदुपास्यति कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Welcome back. The esteemed faculty for today, CA Sanjay Shah, Chairman Ahmedabad Branch CA Harit Dhariwal, Chairman for the Direct Tax Committee and Treasurer CA Sunil Sanghvi, senior members and my dear friends, welcome. I would request Chairman to give opening address followed by introduction of our faculty by Sunil Sanghvi.
Thank you, Anjali. Very respected faculty for today's session, Sanjay Bhai Shah, the Secretary of our branch, Anjali Choksi, Chairman of Direct Tax Committee and Treasurer, Sunil Bhai Sanghvi, the coordinator for today's session, and all the dear participants. A very, very good afternoon to all of you. And this is a very, I think, much long-awaited session. We always wanted to have a session on the income tax portal, though it was evolving right from day one, from June, July, whenever it was launched. I think it is evolving, and it is still evolving. But we wanted to have that now that we have a lot of things, close to normal. Even in the income tax portal, we thought of having a session where not only the income tax changes, but also the tax audit and the recent updates that have been there on the portal will be taken by. And when we thought of having it, Sanjay Bhai was our first thought. I think Sunil Bhai and we were just discussing, and we discussed कि Sanjay Bhai को ही बुलाना है इसके लिए. He is an expert not only on the technical side of the income tax law, but also at the when you come to the portal and filing the TDS and income tax returns. So thank you, sir, for sparing your valuable time on your busy schedule. Just a few activities which are upcoming at the branch level. I'll just brief you. Tomorrow we are having from tomorrow we are starting our FEMA workshop. Again, it's a series. I should not use the workshop as a series. It's a 50-hour intensive virtual FEMA workshop, and it is being very well crafted. I think everything, each and everything of FEMA is covered. We're also linking it to international taxation, also linking it to other laws. So if you see the structure, we are also inviting officials from RBI and even the bankers will be involved. So 50 hours of exhaustive FEMA learning is there. So those who are yet to register, you can do that. We are starting the series from tomorrow. It's a 50-hour. It will end in December 28th of December. So Monday to Thursday. So tomorrow is a Saturday where we are starting it. After that, every Monday to Thursday evening, 6 to 8 or 5 to 8, as the case may be, we have sessions on FEMA. This is a virtual series. After that, we are on 23rd. That is after 4 days, we are having a session on the GST. So yesterday only there was a new announcement, the new notification or the rate. The rate have been increased. Then there's something on the refunds. So whatever announcements were made yesterday, we are having a session on 23rd. That is on Tuesday evening, and that will be physical at branch or 6 to 8 p.m. We are having our two very important RRCs. One RRC is on at Udaipur in the first week of January, and that RRC will be on 7th, 8th, and 9th of Udaipur. So please save your dates. The details will be out soon, and that RRC would be focusing on leadership and communication skills and a lot of things which we are not, doing in day-to-day life. It will not be on income tax or GST. It will be on something which will definitely give you a lot of value add for your professional life. And then yes, a very important RRC, international RRC, Egypt. It will be happening from 13th of January till 22nd of January. So 8 nights is a package for Egypt. Again, today or tomorrow we're going to launch that also. So in case you are yet to plan your holidays after the basic busy tax audit season, you can do that. And yes, apart from this, we have a few sessions on the trust and the GST series. That is all will be informed as and when the time goes on. But yes, very important thing at the branch level would also again urge all of you to also save your dates for 3rd and 4th of December, because it is the festival of democracy. The elections are coming in. So make sure that you are available to vote. And this time there are two centers. First is at Ahmedabad branch, and again, basis on where your registration number falls in. But Ahmedabad branch and the HL college, there are two centers this time. So based on where your where your register number falls, you need to check and you need to cast your vote. So make sure that we all vote in large numbers and we have record voters, voting this time at Ahmedabad branch. With this, I once again thank Sanjay Bhai for today's session, and over to you, Sunil Bhai, now for the introduction.
Thank you, Chairman. I welcome once again the Chairman Sri Harit Dhariwal, Ahmedabad branch, Secretary Anjaliben Choksi, today's esteemed faculty Sanjay Vastupal and all dear participants. Happy New Year to all of you after the Diwali. And today's the topic, the updates, ITR updates and the tax audit updates on the new IT portal. Right now, it has become little smooth as compared to the earlier months. We are able to file the income tax returns. We are getting the intimation also quickly, maybe on the same day also. It seems that for the assessment year 2022-23, that means I mean to say the next year, the portal will be 100% smooth. Still, we are facing the problems in the uploading the tax audit reports because that UDIN function is not working. And it is written on that you have to upload your UDIN within 15 days, which is not possible because we don't know whether that UDIN function will start within 15 days or not. But there will be no practical difficulty. I will still, whatever they have written 15 days, the reports uploaded would not be treated as invalid. Today's faculty, Sanjay Vastupal Sir, is a chartered accountant, and not only the chartered accountant, I would like to say is a gold medalist. Secured the 3rd rank, 5th rank at the final level and first in Gujarat. And he cleared chartered accountancy in November 1987 attempt. And not only at the final level, he was the rank holder at the inter level also, the first in Gujarat again and the 13th in India. He is practicing chartered accountant since he qualified, that is from the since 1987. And is also member of American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, USA, is also qualified DISA, CISA USA, IFRS certified from the ICI. He has delivered many lectures and contributed many articles at the various levels in chartered accountant branches, study circles, NABARD, IIM, and has also contributed many articles in the newspaper. With this brief introduction, we welcome you, sir, and let's have a big round of applause for the today's faculty. Now I would request you, sir, to start the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sunil Bhai, for the nice and kind words. Let me also thank Harit Bhai, Chairman of the branch, to organize this lecture and invite me for this. And I really appreciate, during your tenure, so many good programs are happening, and you have really made it vibrant. And a lot of initiative, new programs are happening. And I'm sure that, a lot of members have benefited. And I would also, thank CA Dr. Anjali ji for, all the nice words and the efforts that you all have been putting on. And so, Sunil Bhai, thank you for the kind and nice words. And as you rightly said, probably this is the first year. And because, there has to be anyway, some teething issues. So this year, probably we may have to do with some of the difficulty. But I would like to, go ahead in my session in 2-3 parts. One is a brief background and some of the technical aspect about the new portal, because it will be very important for the members to understand that how it is different, from the others, and how it will be helping the taxpayers. Part 2 will go and navigate the portal and see what are the difficulties right now. Some of the, not so popular features which can be beneficial to the members or the taxpayers. And then thirdly, new updates on that portal part as well. So, within background, let me, once again reiterate the whole purpose of, this new portal was to use the data and data mining, data analytics, big data, and all the high-tech tools available. As we all know, that department or the government has all the data. We all have been very popularly, with the WhatsApp message of that Domino's pizza. I don't need to repeat that, anybody making a call to the customer care, they will have all the detail, including your sugar level, BP, your past performance, your payment track and everything. So this is the data world. So now government has so much of the data. So basically this portal is going to help the department and the interface between the taxpayer and the department. And as we know that our Honorable Prime Minister has taken a lot of initiative and made a lot of things faceless, totally electronically. So everything, if you will see, is going in the one direction, that the gone are the days where the scrutiny may take place after 2-3 years. Probably right now, we are talking of the transaction-based inquiry or the scrutiny. And many of us have seen that nowadays, immediately on the completion of the transaction, there are some inquiries and all that. So which is, very much fitting in the time frame of the current technological world, where even it would be easier for the taxpayer to address the issues because they are live, fresh, and they have the evidence and the documents. And even for the department or the revenue, it will be more meaningful to take any action or anything based on the data available with them. So the whole purpose of the portal is to facilitate data mining, data analytics, and how best it will work on that. And as we know, initially it was told, and the preamble was that the new portal will have a pre-filled income tax return. So probably today also there are certain details which are captured directly from 26A's salary detail form number 16, which are auto-populated in the return. So the whole idea is that most probably for a simple citizen, where he or she has only salary income or some house property income or interest income, will be able to file the return simply based on the data available, need to only cross verify, match the data and upload the data, and things will be done. And as Sunil Bhai has rightly said, that we have seen that in the last month, there has been very quick processing of the return file. The return filing, at least for the individuals and firms, are becoming smooth, non-tax audit cases. And in many of the cases, the refunds are received in a period of 24 hours. So this is the use of the technology, and this is the benefit of the technology. Even otherwise, we all know as a chartered accountant that even in the earlier period, once the return was being filed or uploaded, nothing was happening. If the case was to be selected for the scrutiny, there is 143, 1, 2, 3 process which used to take place after 1 year. So primarily the checking which was being done in the, once you file the return, was to match the TDS, advance tax payment, and the tax liability. The data or the information which was fed by the citizen is taken and was taken on the face value in almost 99% cases. So same thing is happening here, that when you upload the return, your data or TDS claimed is matched with the 26As, the advance tax detail are matched. So the moment you upload the return, there is no possibility or no situation where there can be any other scrutiny which is required at that point of time. And that is why computation of tax and hence consequential refund or tax demand becomes a procedural part, and it can be done immediately. In fact, I won't be surprised if a time will come, the moment you upload the return, you click the button upload, and at the same time your bank account will be created with the refund amount. So this is the technology, and I believe even advanced countries like USA and Canada and many other countries, they are also, the technology which we are talking, the current portal, if it happens and we wish that yes, it would really work the way it has been designed or as per the expectations of the government and all the bureaucrats who have, contributed, it will really be one of the fastest, portal and most user friendly portal in the world. So now with this background, let me start and go with the my presentation. So let me share the screen. I hope I am my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So now you can see that what I'm trying to do is
So you
that
can just do the full screen if that is possible.
yeah,
sir.
yeah, correct. We'll
Thank
do that. Okay, now I think it is better.
Perfect, sir. Perfect.
Yeah. So these are the old link of the income tax portal. I am sure everybody is aware of it. The data interchange format. Old portal used XML, which is extensible markup language. New portal is using JSON, which is a JavaScript object notation. We as a chartered accountant need to spare a few minutes to understand what is JSON and how it will help the portal and the server. Of course, we are not concerned with the technical aspect. We will be more on the user part, but it is always, beneficial to have some idea. Basically, JSON is a very lightweight data interchange format, and it is very easy for the human to read and write. So this, JSON utility is expected to increase the return filing convenience, including faster processing and more of the data, integrity. Basically, JSON is an open standard for exchanging the data on the web. It is supporting the data structures like object and array. So it becomes very easy to read and write the data from the JSON. So what happens that this is originated from JavaScript only, but because of it, some of the features, it is a faster and it is more advantageous. And I take the liberty to display one of the picture from the website where we can see that JSON is a latest technology which is like running after the XML and trying to get the XML out. And incidentally, JSON is the same utility which is also used for GST. So the advantage I would say is that it is a faster, because here syntax is very easy to use, and since it is a very small and lightweighted, the execution and the response time is very faster. Second is that it supports the schema in a very larger way. So at the development phase, probably right now what the Infosys is facing, they may be having some difficulty or the challenges for integrity. But once that compatibility is there, it becomes very easy for the user and the basically compatibility for the student. Third one is the server parsing. Basically what will happen if it is faster, then the user will get the fast response of the response. Suppose if we are feeding any data, any input, then the response which you will get from the portal will be much faster than the earlier one. Say for example, if you want to match anything, if you want to compare anything, if you want to retrieve the data, the response time is very less and the volume handling capacity is also very fast. And it is a best tool for sharing the data of any size. So that is also an advantage, that it will make the data transfer very easier. So it is a superior file format for the portal. And that is why I would say that, the present portal will ultimately prove to be very faster and prompt responsive than the earlier one. Of course, there are some minor point also, like there is no error handling for the JSON calls. And, like if you don't insert anything, nothing happens. It will fail silently. Basically, you will not be able to catch a 404 server error. So you cannot cancel the request, right? You have to wait for the timeout. and then again chart of RAS. And another drawback is that it can be quite dangerous if it is used with the untrusted service or untrusted browser. So again, some of the times we are using many software and the utility. So we have to make sure that they are properly linked and interchanged with the JSON. And yeah, by and large, generally, in my opinion, for the chartered accountant, it is not a bigger issue. So now with this technical background, let us move toward the navigating part of the portal. So once we start, the old portal setup used to have the user ID, password, and CAPTCHA on the single page. Correct? Now, here in the new portal, what is happening that when you will open on the first page, you have to only provide the user ID on the first display to log in into the new income tax portal. Remember, there is no provision for password or CAPTCHA on the first display. I will explain you why. When you will go to the second display after entering the user ID, if the user ID is valid, if it is existing, then only the second page will display. It will come with the login page where there will be three things. One is the message, second will be the password, and third will be, like you have to submit. So now what will happen? The good thing is that earlier time, to difficulty of use of CAPTCHA has been solved here. There are no CAPTCHA. So even for the income tax software, in the earlier old portal, we had to enter CAPTCHA every time because software cannot handle CAPTCHA. So here, our income tax software, any good software, can directly log in into the new income tax portal with a single click. So CAPTCHA is done away with. One important point which we need to understand, that because the user ID and password are two different pages, there cannot be possibility of saving of the passwords. This can be a difficulty for many of the tax practitioner or the chartered accountant staff, because earlier time what has happened, that old portal used to remember the password. So the moment you enter the user ID, you had the password automatically, you could just press and enter it. Now here, you cannot save the password. No system can save the password. It can save only one password. So the moment the password is changed, it cannot recognize the password user ID wise. So unless you keep the same password for all the user ID, you cannot use the same password. So this one has to be careful that you need to enter the password every time you try to log in. Now there is one message which is called secured access message. This is again very common. Many of the chartered accountants are aware that in some of the bank like HDFC and many other bank, there is a system of the secured access message whereby you can choose. You can choose the message of your choice. So the moment your user ID will go, it will display that message. And you need to select, yes, this is my message. So what happens, in case if it is not message, you know that this is not the authenticated website. The advantage is that hacker or nobody can try to play around, because the true message which has been saved by you will be displayed only by the authenticated website. So even if there is a like a fraud or any other fake website, it cannot be used to display the correct message. So that is another security level which is good for the taxpayer or the chartered accountant. Again, it is possible you can choose your own message by default. Suppose if you don't choose, then the default message is a login. Simple, 5-letter word login. So every time you log in, you will find the word login. So you have to select. You can change it, keep anything like your favorite name, character, pet, name of mother, father, birthdate, whatever. Then the dashboard look in the old portal used to be simple, like this. Here in the new portal, the dashboard look has changed totally, 180-degree change. So what is happening? More meaningful and effective data and the details are displayed. Basic details of profile, contact details, return filing status, summary of tax deposited, recent return filed, pending actions, and grievances, etc. are displayed on the dashboard only. You can see that, welcome back, the name is there. I have tried to, mask some of the character. It will display the full name. It will display your PAN number, your date of birth, your email ID, mobile number, everything. So you can know that yes, it is already there. And whenever you want to contact detail update or bank detail update, you can do so by clicking on the button provided on the left hand side of the portal. Once you go to the right hand side on the dashboard only, we are still on the very first page only. That assessment year 21-22 filing. If you have filed the return successfully, it will display that filed successfully. Then refund awaited. I have taken one example. So here it is saying that yes, the refund is awaited. It will give the status refund filed date, return verified on. So then return processed and processing completed. Here you can see that the return was filed on 16th of October, processed on 20th October, and processing completed on 20th October, correct? And the refund is already credited. Then there are certain details like tax deposit, recent filed returns, then pending actions, recent form. So there is a difference between the returns and the form. So here it will give all the forms. Then grievance. So these are the 5 tabs which are available on the dashboard. Now here you can see that once you will click on the tax deposit details and there is analysis. Say for example, here I have taken one example from the portal only. You can see it in 2 different formats. One will be in a row column, which is the right, another will be in a chart format. So you can see that how much is the total tax. Second is a TDS amount, and the third is the advance tax, and the self-assessment. Even TCS is also there. This data is available for 2 years. So what will happen? That you can at the very first glance on the dashboard only find out that what is the total tax deposited, including breakup of TDS, advance tax, self-assessment, and TCS. Then if you go to the recent filed return, it will show the data for 3 years in 3 different formats: taxable income, tax liability, and tax deposited. So in this particular case, AY 1920, the taxable income was 61,65,710, which is being displayed in a blue color pillar. Then next to is a tax liability, which is mustard color, which says that 19 lakhs is the tax liability. And then again sky color, which says that tax deposited is 19,23,000. Similar data for AY 2021. And the same thing is basically you can find out AY 1920 taxable income and tax liability. So what happens that from the dashboard only, one can immediately find out that what is the applicability or what is the total amount of the tax which has been paid, total income displayed, and the how much has been paid by TDS and how much has been done in terms of liability. So this is about one second. Then we will go to the second part. Now here when you go to the recent forms filed, it will tell you about all detail which the forms you have filed. Say for example, here it will tell you that form number 3CB, 3CD was filed on 30th October 2020. So in this particular case, the tax audit report for the current year is not filed. When you will click view all, it will show you the data of many years. In many cases of last 5 years, 7 years, data will be available. And you can click on individual and find out the return of the particular form. So what will happen, that there is no need of basically keeping the hard copy or retrieval from the portal itself. Taxpayer or the chartered accountant or the anyone who is interested can find out the detail. One very interesting thing available on the portal, and in my opinion, which has not been given very much focus, is form number BB. I think some Vikram Modi is requesting remote control of your screen. I don't know, whatever. So form number BB is basically for return of net wealth, which means that all of us are aware that wealth tax has been abolished since 2015. So March 2015 was the last year for which the wealth tax returns were filed. Interestingly, in this portal, they are also displaying the detail of the return of net wealth filed on, let's say, 11 September 2015. So it is a very significant. Let us understand why and how. Here only the portal, the department or AO or the user can find out that yes, the wealth tax return was filed. This can be a very good defense or a protective tool available to the SSC, because anything and everything which has been disclosed in the return of wealth at that time in 2015, where there were manual, the processing and everything. So those detail and the returns are now captured on the website. So it becomes very easy to get the profile or idea of the tax assessees. Sometimes the property, the assets, the gold jewelry, etc., which is available with the SSC and which was declared properly at the time of filing the wealth tax return, it was made available in the wealth tax return. So that is why, I would say that it is very interesting and probably want to take the advantage. This can be again a very important defense available in case of any search or survey, because at that time, anything which was declared in the return of net wealth file, in my opinion, reasonably should not be questioned or cannot be challenged or cannot be called to be unexplained. So this is something basically that will be a wonderful part of going into particular this part. So this return of net wealth, right now it is not possible to retrieve the data, but you can immediately find out that anytime if the data is available, it will be done on the particular kind of it. Now I will like to shift to let me share the data on 1 second. Let me share this. Okay. Now, can you? Okay. Now, can you see these new 5 tabs to file the data?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So, yeah, this is basically now once we go to the filing of the return, there are 2 possibilities. One is online and one is offline. So the moment you will go, you will find out that, okay, let me, take you to this particular okay. So the moment you will enter the new portal, the profile page, you will ask the detail of the PAN, address, contact detail, Aadhaar. Then there will be further details which are available on the site, like bank account, demat account, registered DSC, e-filing vault, secure access message, static password, Aadhaar OTP login, jurisdiction detail, source of income, authorized signatory representative, and Portuguese civil code and activity law. We will quickly go through all these items and see how it works. Let's say once you go to my bank account, it will display all the details of the bank accounts which are available on the portal. Now, how the details are captured? Right now, they are not captured from a database, or it is not getting from the banks. Many people are misunderstanding that the data is auto captured. This data at present is captured only from the returns filed. So whenever in the past you filed the return, whatever banks you have mentioned, given the detail, they are only reflected. So it is quite possible that taxpayer may have 10 bank accounts, and out of 10, 4 or 5 will be reflected because those bank accounts were disclosed or mentioned in the return filing earlier. Another thing, one has to keep it in mind that when you go to this tip, always make sure to select the which account you want to nominate for refund. Because if you happen to select a wrong bank account, there can be a possibility of the refund not getting credited. Let me give you one example. In case of the proprietor, many a time detail of the bank account of the proprietary firm are given. Correct? So now in this case, the return is filed in the individual name. SSC is an individual. So the refund will be generated in the individual name. So now if the bank account of the firm is selected, even though proprietor is the same, what will happen? Refund will get rejected because the proprietorship name would be ABC and company, and name of the proprietor will be, let's say, Mr. ABCDEF. So that is why it is important to keep the only bank account which you want to nominate. You can choose that, and I would suggest that those bank accounts which are not allowed, one can remove from the portal. That facility is available. Similarly, what happened? That another is a My Demat account where all the details of the Demat account will be available. Then you have the option of registering the DSC. We will deal with this little later. There is a e-filing vault higher security option, which means that, if you will see, now this is option given to the taxpayer for an enhanced and the advanced security level. So in case any HNI or an industrialist wants to make sure that anybody simply by getting the access to the password cannot log into his portal. See, because now what is happening, you can see the portal is having variety of information. So much of the data, so much of the information is there. It can become a really critical if the login is done by any other fraudulent person. It can be misused. So in that case, there are two options available. One is that set higher security for login. So there are 5 options given. One is that you can select through net banking, using the DSC, using OTP on the mobile number, using bank account EBC, or using the demat account EBC. So one can select any one of the higher security level. But remember, if you select the higher security level, then every time you will log in, it will require this kind of the password or the OTP in addition to the normal user ID and password. So one needs to be careful. Second, in case one wants to make sure that nobody can reset the password. Suppose, for example, if one had to set the password and one wants to make sure that nobody can reset the password, then you can also set the higher security. Again, same 5 options through net banking, using DSC, using OTP on the mobile, linked with the Aadhaar, bank account or demat account. Again, you can afford not to choose. And if you do not choose, the normal option of e-filing OTP will always be there. So this is about the e-filing. Then there is a secure access message. So as I told you that one can select the secure access message. This is again for the security purpose, no other reason. And if you do not select, the by default it will be login. And you can, they give an example like I love my family, my pet name is Tommy, Bangalore is my birthplace. Similarly, you can use anything and everything, right? And they have advised that don't use the numbers like PAN number, Aadhaar number, driving license, passport number, and all that, right? Then there is a static password. Now for the static password, you know that basically this is a facility given in case when you have no or low connectivity on network for accessing e-filing account. Once you do this thing, it will give you 10 total static password at a time. Immediately within a fraction of second, you will get 10 static password, each one of 6 numerical. And this 10 password can be used and valid for 30 days period. And every time you will log in, it will require one password. And one password will be valid only for a single login. Remember, you cannot generate another set of static password before either you consume all the 10 passwords or a period of 30 days have passed. So right now you can generate the password. Immediately the email will come of all the 10 password. But when to use that password is a little bit, probably we are not too sure of a situation where there is a no or low connectivity, because if there is a low connectivity, the portal accessibility itself will become a challenge. So I am unable to understand what situation a static password can be useful. In fact, in that situation, it will be more of the problematic to have an additional security level. Then we have the Aadhaar password level and this particular message. Then, once you go to this thing, the source of income, it will be automatically captured on the dashboard. It will also give the full detail of all the house properties which you are showing in the return, detail of business and profession, detail of other sources of income and everything, correct? Then if you will go to the wealth tax return, as I told you, it will display the detail of the return of wealth file. Like for last year was March 15, assessment year 15-16, and assessment year 14-15. So it will give the acknowledgement number, date of filing. There is a facility of downloading the form and downloading the receipt. But as of today, probably we cannot download the form because all the forms have not been able to. Yes. Okay. So this is about the return network. Then there is a grievance possibility where you can raise the grievance, and it is again divided into 6 portions like e-filing, AO, assessment officer, then CPC, Central Processing Center, TDS, then UTITSL, NSDL, CPC relating to the ITR, State Bank of India, and Director of Income Tax Systems. So you need to find out which department you want to raise your complaint or grievance. Accordingly, you can select and find out more about the department. And this is about the grievance redressal. And if you have already done it, you will find out that what are the submitted grievances, what are the development or the level of the finding out. Now, once you are already in it, probably we will see that once you go into the income tax return, online filing functionality, it will ask you to select the assessment year. Let's say we have selected 21-22 current assessment year. Then mode of filing online. Then if you will go to the next slide, it will open the income tax return. It will tell you you have saved draft of income tax return pending for submission. So in case if in the earlier session, if our tax consultant or any employee of the staff has furnished or input some data, that's the income from salary, income from work property, and for any reason they had to log out. So when you will log in next time, the details which were fed in earlier will be available for the display. So you don't have to start afresh. You can start from where you had left it. In case you have to file a fresh income tax return, it will start new filing. And once you file the new filing, it will ask you, please select the status applicable to you to proceed further. You can select whether you are individual, HUF or others. Then you need to select the ITR which you want to proceed. So suppose you know that ITR 1, so then you have to select ITR 1. And then it will tell you which ITR 1 is for the particular part. Suppose, for example, we know that ITR 1 is for the individual, resident individual, who have a total income of less than 50 lakhs of rupees, and they have the income from salary, not more than one house property, and other sources like interest, etc. And agricultural income not exceeding 5,000 rupees. So those individuals can select ITR 1 and they can proceed with the ITR 1. Now, once you go into it, it will tell you that there are 3 steps. First, the validate your return, which is a pre-filled. Second stage is the confirm your return summary. And third is verify and submit. So the most of the time is going to take in the step number 1, where one needs to validate the return breakup, which is coming as a pre-filled. Now, you will say that answer the following question to proceed further. So it will say that whether you are filing the income tax return for which reason. 1, taxable income is more than basic exemption limit. Or another thing, you are filing the return of income tax for any of the 3 reasons. One is that deposited amount or aggregate of amount of more than 1 crore in the current account, or if one has paid the electricity bill of more than 1 lakh of rupees during the year, or one has paid more than 2 lakhs rupees for the foreign travel. So if the total income is not exceeding basic exemption limit, and if the individual is filing for any of the 3 reasons, one can choose the correct option and then continue. Correct? So that is the okay. Now, when you come online feeding, we are into the step number 1. Let's validate your pre-filled return.
I request everyone to please mute. Yes, sir. You can continue now.
Yeah. So it will have the validation of the pre-filled return. So here, what will happen? One second, let me go for the let me transfer it. Okay, so 1 minute. Am I okay now? Is it visible properly? Okay. So now
Yes, sir.
here we are onto the validation of the pre-filled return. So there are 5 parts. You will fill return summary. One is the personal information. It includes your Aadhaar, PAN number, contact number, and bank details. Correct? So if you have corrected, if you have gone through it detailed, it will display confirmed. Part number 1. Then the second one is the gross total income. Once you will click on this, it will open you all the tabs like income from house property, income from salary, income from PGBP, then income from other sources and capital gains. You can enter the data, you can modify the data, and will also explain that wherever the data is captured directly from 26As, you can modify or you can even change the data. But here I will give you a word of caution. Any change or deviation from the form number 26, it is better to keep the explanation ready. Because what happens that later on, if the income declared in the return is lower than the income shown in form number 26A, in all probability, a query will come from the CPC. The moment the return is uploaded, it will come that why the income is lower than the income disclosed in the 26As. 1 second. So the better option in this scenario is that one needs to contact the person who has uploaded 26As and request to amend the relevant TDS return or salary return so that correct details are uploaded. Because it is always better to get the data updated in the portal rather than to explain the query at a later date. Third is the total deductions, where once you will click this, entire deductions will open, all our chapter 6 deductions, other deductions, where some of the data will be auto captured and one can enter the data also. Then the fourth part will be tax paid. Here also most of the data will be pre-filled. And in my opinion, one should not change this data, because if you will see, salary TDS is coming directly from the form number 16, which is uploaded by the employer. TDS amount will come directly from the 26As. Advance tax will come directly from the bank portal data, self-assessment or whatever. So normally, this data is pre-validated. And if there is anything missing out, the better option is to correct the data or correct the relevant field and then only to go ahead with the data. Because in the return filing, if there is a mismatch, definitely return is not going to be processed, or it will be processed with defect, or the necessary refund may not be issued. And then is the total tax liability. So this will include the computation part. It will include higher rate, lower rate, capital gain tax rate, special rate of tax, surcharge applicable, and education cess and everything. So these are the basically 5 different parts. Now, if we will go in the first part, we are now going into the detail of one part just to give you the brief idea. Personal detail, it is asking you the name, last name, PAN number, date of birth, Aadhaar number, and contact number. Correct? So these are the live data. I am just sharing on a display to give you the idea. And there is an option of editing also. And there is an option of you can select the nature of employment. So you can even give that thing. Then in the personal information, the filing section, it will give you whether the return is filed 139.1, 139.4, 139.5 or 119.2b. So you can select normally, let's say 139.1, or whether it is filed in response to 139.9, 142.1 or 142.8, 148. So what will happen, depending on the option which you have selected here, certain tab will be enabled and certain tabs will be disabled. Say for example, 148 is a return filed against notice for assessment. So there the original return will be pre-filled. And then SSC will have an option to amend or to revise or to furnish the return within the given time limit. Again, that option also will be available only during the relevant period. Suppose if the time period of given 30 days, then after 30 days, that option of filing the return will be disabled. It will not be possible to upload the return once the time limit is expired. In case if it is a revised return, then it will ask the receipt of the original return, date of the number, and the document number or the unique number of the notice or order. So here you can find out like notice of 148, 147, and then the date. Here the last question is about, are you opting for the new tax regime under section 115 BSC? So here one need to select that whether they are going for the new tax regime or old. As you are aware that once you select a new tax regime, obviously you cannot switch back to the old. And in case if you are choosing old, you will have an option every time in future to switch to the new tax regime. Of course, subject to how many years government will keep that option open. Normally, the old tax regime may be useful for the individuals where they have a income from house property loan amount. So the interest on the housing loan will result into the negative, assuming that only SOP is there. So what will happen if an individual is fully availing the ATC 150, is also availing 50,000 of national pension scheme, they're also claiming some of the 80G, they're also claiming Mediclaim, then also claiming the interest on housing loan, then in that case, it may be worthwhile to go for the old regime. Interestingly, in the earlier time, old quarter, there was a facility where you can, a sort of calculator was given, where you can find out new tax, old tax. Now, probably it is very simple. Everybody can do it in a simple Excel format. So one need to do it offline and then decide which they want to do. Now here, declare details of all the bank account held in India at any point of time, correct? So you need to declare all the bank account details, and then you have to select which account you want to select for the refund, correct? So generally it will say that you need to give details of all your bank accounts, and you can nominate any bank account. You can change the account which you have nominated in future whenever you file the return. So minimum one account should be selected for the refund credit. In case of refund, multiple accounts are selected, refund will be credited one of the account decided by CPC. So generally, in my opinion, you should have only one preferred bank account. So it will be pre-validated and it will go. Then you go to the gross total income ITR filing. So what will happen? Suppose if you have gross total income, if you go to the salary exemption, it will say that are you eligible to claim expenditure in case of LTC, minimum uniform allowance and all that. These are our section 10.14.1. Where is the rule? So all the deductions which are available to the employee during the course of the salary, in terms of special compensatory allowance, children education allowance of 300 per month, or house rent allowance, whichever as per the 3-4 limit. So you have to select, and once you will select yes, it will open the format or the tab, and then you need to fill detail. Again, make sure that these details have to be synchronized with the form number 16 filed by the employer. If any deduction is not claimed in the form number 16 and later on it is claimed in the return, legally and technically there is no ban. One can always do that. But it will be definitely a matter of cross verification. Probably in future, it can happen that some sort of communication go to the employer and ask him to confirm whether this kind of deduction was he aware or was it not allowed or was it outside the employment. So anything other than form number 16, a person or the SSC should have an additional documentary evidence available. In case of any query comes, they need to answer it. So this way, in the salary portion, you will come to know the gross salary, exempt allowances, then net salary, deduction under section 16, that is 50,000 standard deduction or whatever, and income chargeable under the head salary. Then the another tab is pertaining to the income from house property, which will say that in case if you have any house property, you need to fill. So what will happen that in case where there is only one house property, then only this ITR can be filed, as we know. So there is no option of giving details of more than one house property. So automatically, even at that time, SSC will come to know that he or she has selected a wrong return, and we'll have an option to go back, start again, and select the another appropriate return, form number 2 or whatever. And then there will be, you can add any detail of breakup. Then other source of income, which can be interest or any other income, dividend or whatever. And then it will add to the gross total income. Then it will ask for the deduction. Now, deduction for donation paid, it can be ATG or any ATG or whatever, Then scientific research, section 35 AD development or even weighted deduction, ATGG. Then, most popular section 80C pertaining to the LIC, PPF, tax saver, FD, NPS, etc. So once only if you click yes, that tab will open. Then ATCCD, pension scheme plan, then payment to other medical insurance, ATD, where even the deduction for the senior citizen or parents are available. Higher education for the children and self and relative. So these are the details which will come in the tab of the deduction in the ITR filing. Are you eligible to claim any other deduction? If you will get yes, you have to tick mark, like whatever other, which will include ATCCC, ATCCD, ACCCD, ATDDB. So these are the specific deductions, which in case a person is claiming, you will have to select. And remember, the portal is capable to identify and it can ask you the specific document or evidences in support of your claim. May not be at the time of the upload, but even in the primary, preliminary scrutiny by the system itself. Suppose say for example, SS is claiming ATU deduction. Let's say for example, if it is the first year of claiming, then probably system itself can ask the SSC to furnish the certificate, which has to be given from the registered medical practitioner or a civil surgeon as per the rule. It is quite possible that once it has been submitted for 1 year, probably next year system may not ask for it. So these are going to be the advantage. And you have the option of skip the question also. If you have nothing else, you can straight away go to the file. Then you can verify your deductions. Whatever deductions you have filled, will find out ATD, amount of expenditure. As for form number 16, amount eligible for deduction under section 80D. Then are you entitled for other claim? Then it will again ask you add total deductions. Back to summary and confirm. So once you will confirm, that data will be going. At every tab, you have option of doing the editing or deleting. Then the fourth step is taxes paid. So here one can verify that how many taxes are paid. Even you can view your 26 days from here and find out the TDS on the salary. It will be pre-filled. Then TDS on income other than salary. Then TDS in respect of form number 16C. Other TCS in case of the motor car purchase or a property purchase or whatever. Then advance tax and self-assessment payment, whereby detail will be automatically captured. Then the final and the last tab is the total tax liability, where it will say the total gross amount, total deductions, your total income, and then rebate under section 87A if applicable, then 4% education cess, total tax and cess and relief, and balance tax of relief. Now remember, this is a ITR 1, and which is for the income less than 50 lakhs of rupees. And that is why there is no column of surcharge. You would have noticed that it is not calculating the surcharge. There is not even provision, because the total income is supposed to be less than 50 lakhs. And the surcharge is applicable for income more than 50 lakhs. You find out here balance tax paid, then interest 234A, B, C, which will be auto calculated. Then fee in case of the delay filing, total interest and fee payable, total tax, fee and interest payable. These are all consequential computation of the amount. Then the summary will be displayed, where it will claim that you are eligible for a refund of 2930. Again, remember, you have not submitted the return. You have not uploaded. But at this stage, it will say that based on the computation, based on the income detail furnished, and based on the deductions claimed and exemptions, it is asking for the whatever refund is there. Secondly, it is very clear that one cannot upload or file the return if there is a tax payable. Even in the old portal also that provision of that. You know, in the manual times, some assessors used to file the return showing the tax payable, you know, and then they were getting 15 days time. And during that period, they used to pay tax and furnish the challan. Now here, one cannot upload the return if there is a tax payable. Even earlier old portal also the same facility was there. So this is the, then second will be your return summary. Here it will tell you, it is the your ID, IP address. Then it will say the name of the SSC, father or husband, capacity, self, karta in case of HUF, partner in case of a firm, director in case of a company. Then if the tax has been filed by TRP, which is a tax return preparer, then ID number, name, and if the TRP is entitled for the reimbursement, then it will come the amount thereof. So that is why basically, you know, this provision is there. Here I would like to mention one thing, nothing related with the technical part, but this TRP concept is right now not very popular in India. But moving forward, it can become. You know, in US and many other advanced countries, what is happening? That practically many times SSCs or the taxpayers are not conversant or they are not the tax expert. So they will go by the advice or the computation given by the chartered accountant. Now what will happen? Till date, fortunately, in India, there is no penalty to the chartered accountant or the TRP for any error in the income tax return filed. But of late, and as per the trending, current trends which is going on, it is quite likely that in future, if it is proved or if it is, you know, like observed that the default or the gross negligence was on the part of the chartered accountant or TRP who has prepared the return, then there can be a penalty or some of the consequences on the part of the CA also. So one needs to be very careful. Again, incidentally, I would like to give one small piece of a caution that always make sure that you have all the KYC of the tax assessors. Normally, one will have the data, number and all that. But I would urge that please keep the certified photocopy of PAN number or driving license, whatever KYC, our institute has also suggested what kind of KYC needs to be kept for the client. So it is always advisable to keep those KYC properly in the file. And also, it is a good practice and a recommended practice that one needs to take a letter of authority from the SSC. Many chartered accountant, I have seen that they feel that authorization necessary only when you are representing him in the department. I would say not at all. Even on the day one, when you are talking with the client, when you are advising him or guiding for tax matter, it is in own interest to take the letter of authority, because that letter of authority is entitling you to discuss, or if you come across any of the data of the taxpayer, it is not a illegal thing. So it is always advisable to keep a proper letter of authority from the client, attach the KYC document of the client, and you can keep it in the master file. And now, even if you don't fall in detail of TRP, don't think that nobody can find out who has filed the return, because based on the IP address, one can easily find out that the location of the IP address and who was using, and so one can immediately find out that where the tax returns have been filing. In fact, in the GST, we have seen that many a times they go to the extent, the person or the consultant who has helped in filing the GST number application or furnishing wrong return, they are also holding the concerned tax practitioner or the chartered accountant to held responsible for the wrong submission of the return. So please make sure that you have enough authority and KYC document for the client. Needless to say that don't do anything which is not furnished by the SSC, or don't try to claim any deduction exemption unless there are proper supporting. Department or the government taking the SSC as a face value 99.5%, which is a good thing. It is the obligation of all the professional and our fraternity and all the taxpayers to make sure that there is no reason for the government to distrust or to review or rethink this decision of taking the SSC as a face value. Since last so many years, we see most of the times the deduction claim, nobody is asking for the evidence. There is no scrutiny, Xerox copies are not uploaded, right? But that doesn't mean that one should take it for granted, because even a single case selected for scrutiny or for any reason, if they come to know that wrong thing was deducted, even to set example, strict punitive actions may be taken. Again, the TRP or the chartered accountant, of course, SSC will definitely have to pay the music, but along with SSC, TRP or chartered accountant will also be held responsible. So make sure that reasonable trend, say for example, LIC, one can take that, okay, every year is paying, and more or less you can find out. But in case of other deductions, one needs to make sure. So now you are ready to view a return, and you can even download the PDF format for reviewing the ITR before submission. So here you can download, you can print, and you will have entire your return ready available. So when there is an old school of thought, one can take the printout, one can download, one can verify it offline, you can send it to the client for verification or whatever is required to be done. then in that case, once you will validate, then you will receive a confirmation that ITR validated successfully. Correct? So validation successful would meaning that no errors were found. So in case there are errors, one needs to go back and correct the errors. Now, what kind of errors can be? There are mismatch between the profile, the PAN number, the name, Aadhaar number, TDS claim, advance tax detail, the self-assessment tax, whatever errors are there will be reflected here. And once you solve it, validation is successful. So now, even till this point of time, the return is not uploaded. It is only validated. So now you need to go to the proceed to the verification. And then you can verify the ITR by 3 different methods. Same way where it was earlier. One is e-verify now, which is recommended. Instant verification via OTP or Aadhaar based or pre-valid bank account number will be there. So one can do that thing and e-verify the same. Second will be you can e-verify later on, meaning thereby you can submit the return now and e-verify within 120 days of submission. That means within 120 days, you can e-verify also. And third is where e-verification is not possible for any reason, you can verify by ITR 5. It is the same thing what it was earlier. One can print the ITR 5 single page, get it signed by the taxpayer, send it to the Bangalore CPC, Central Processing Center, by normal or SID post within 120 days, and then they will do the needful, and the status will be updated that ITR 5 has been verified. Once the ITR 5 has been verified, user can download ITR form and acknowledgement for the record purpose. And even if they don't download, it will be available on the portal, at least for a reasonably good number of years. But for the record purposes, it is always better to keep the soft copy. Now, we'll go slightly back to the applicability of the return, where we know that ITR 1 is for the resident income, ITR 2 is for the individuals and HUF not having income from PGBP. That means they have the income more than 50 lakhs, they have the income from capital gain, they have more than one house property, but no PGBP. So for them, ITR 2 is that there is no monetary restriction, it can be more than 50 lakhs. In case of that thing, the JSON schema was first available on 17th May. First validation was released on 7th July. And there is a change in schema on 26th October. So this is the latest version. But by and large, the forms are being worked out properly and there is no other issue on that part. Now, ITR 3 is basically for the individual and HUF who have to file their tax audit. So, income from PGBP will be eligible. Here again, even if the income is less than 50 lakhs of rupees, even if they have a house property, more than one house property, capital gain, no capital gain, but income from PGBP will have to file ITR 3. So ITR 1 and 2, the tab of income from business and profession will never open, will not appear. So this is the beauty of it actually. So even if you do any mistake in selecting a wrong return, probably one will not be able to proceed ahead. Now, form number ITR 4 is mainly for the presumptive income, where individual HUF and forms other LLP having a resident income up to 50 lakhs, they can use this ITR and file the return. It's mainly for the presumptive. ITR 5 is mainly for the partnership firm and private decisionary trust, where person other than individual, HUF, company, and person filing form number ITR 7. So practically partnership firm and private discretionary trust can file ITR 5. 6 is for the company. This is going to be a most popular form for all the companies, private, public, listed, unlisted, other than those who are claiming exemption under section 11. So only those companies claiming exemption under section 11 will not be required to file ITR 6. They cannot file. All other companies will have to file ITR 6. Recently, there is a change in the schema also, and the utility of MS Excel was released last on 16th November. However, today there are certain practical problems or the issues while filing the ITR 6. We hope that it will be as smooth as other ITRs like 1, 2, 3, and within very short time. And one thing we must appreciate that they are quite responsive. In case if you will put any grievance or any email, normally it is responded in a very fast manner, and they look into the fact part of it and try to do the needful also. ITR 7 is mainly for the registered charitable trust, public charitable trust having ATG or not ATG or whatever. They'll be required to file ITR 7. Now, we'll go on to the tax audit applicability. Now, this year, somehow or other, the tax audit applicability, in my opinion, is we need to go through, because it is not the simple. In the earlier time, one could say that if the turnover is more than 1 crore, tax rate is mandated. Now, slowly and gradually, the cases where number of tax rates will go on reducing. Let us understand why and how. So, I have taken the example of AY 21-22. Correct? See, as we all know, that very first thing is that up to 1 crore, no tax audit. Above 1 crore, generally liable for the tax audit. Correct? For the profession, receipt up to 50 lakhs of rupees. Now, if they are eligible for the presumptive income, then for the business, it is 4480, which includes the trader, architect, engineer, some of the mining, all of that. Then 4480 is the profession. So for the business, turnover up to 2 crore, profession up to 50 lakhs of rupees. If the presumptive income is 8%, where the turnover is in cash, or 6% in case if the turnover are more than certain prescribed percentage in the electronic mode, then 6%. Then if the assessee is intending to claim lower profit or loss, then they have to go for the tax audit. Otherwise not. Similarly, for the professional having receipt up to 50 lakhs and going for the presumptive income up to 50%, no need for tax audit. They need to get for the tax audit only if it is they intend to claim lower profit or loss. Now, let us go to the otherwise section. Now, here the limit is 10 crore for the current year. Last year, the limit was 5 crore. So what it says that where in case of a business, the cash receipt payment are up to 5% of turnover. Now this we need to understand. It is a two-way criteria. Where the receipt part, you have to see the credit side, turnover part. More than 95% of the receipts are through electronic mode. That is by check, RTGS, NEFT, IMPS, whatever. And more than 95% of the expenditure, that is the debit side of the trading and P&L account, is by electronic mode, which includes the check, RTGS, NEFT, IMPS, or whatever. Correct? So in that case, they can afford not to go for the tax audit, even if their turnover is up to 10 crore. If it is not up to the 95%, then for them the limit applicable will be 1 crore. So this chart I have tried to beautifully divide and explain in two parts. That limit of 1 crore is generally applicable, but 10 crore if more than 95% of the receipts and more than 95% of the expenditure are through the banking channel or the electronic mode of payment. Interestingly, 2 days before I read through media that I think Reserve Bank of India has said that the Google Pay is not authorized by Reserve Bank of India. Now, one interesting query can come that if the payment by Google Pay, can it be included in the 95%? In my opinion, yes, because for this purpose, in any case, it is through the electronic mode. However, RBI has said that Google Pay is not authorized by Reserve Bank of India. So, as I told you, basically these are the limit for getting the books of account tax audit. So slowly and gradually, government is encouraging the digital mode of payment as well as trying to give the incentive by let them not get the accounts audited. So this is the kind of the approach which is very clear that government wants to go on the autopilot mode. So basically they want to rely directly on the taxpayers. They want to take the assets and the face value. So if the SSC business is like 95% or more through electronic channel, then government logically thinks that there is no reason to compel him to get the accounts audited, because in any case there are evidences, there are trails of receipt and payments, so there is no need. And in a way it also acts as a disincentive or a penalty for the business which are dealing in cash, because they will be compelled to get the accounts audited. So they will have to bear the expense of tax audit, undergo certain other more documentation requirement and procedure. So they may think that, okay, let me also go to the 95% level and let me also get away with the requirement of the tax audit. And then form number 3C and 3CD, as you know, that basically it is applicable for whom. Now we know that form number 3C is a person is also audited under any other act, which is Companies Act or even Charitable Trust Act. So 3CB is basically for I think we can handle the question answers later on, because I don't want let the link or the all participant be dissolved. So I think we'll get time for the question answer and we will handle it relatively. Then utility of the tax audit was last released on 16th November 21, which was 3-4 days back, and the schema again 3 days back. So there may be some teething issues at present, but generally the scheme should work well. And again, we have seen that in the past, the practical problem that many of the companies or the SSs were getting the explanation notice from the CPC that why the adjustment should not be done prima facie, without even invoking the provision of the scrutiny assessment. That if the difference between the tax audit report uploaded and the return filed, how or why they should not be added to the income. So here one needs to be extra careful, because there are many clauses in the tax audit where any mistake in uploading the tax audit report cannot be later on rectified while filing the return of income, because then department will go by the tax audit report and then add the income, and that is where the SSC will suffer. So it is always advisable to, many times we have seen that 95% time is utilized for preparation and compiling the tax audit report. Agreed. And wherever required, it has to be done. The nature, extent, and timing of the performance of the audit are equally important. But I think one needs to give enough time for validating or cross verification of the tax audit report before getting uploaded. And I would suggest that for the medium sized, small and medium practitioners, it will always be a good practice to take the printout of the 3CD, get it cross verified with the data or the actual reporting, and then only upload it. Because as we know that even as per our chartered accountant regulation, code of ethics, our professional ethics, schedule 1, schedule 2, what happens that revision of the tax rate report has always been a gray area. So there is, so far fortunately we have not seen much of the problem, but once it is revised, it will definitely be on record, and a professional can be called for or can be questioned that why the earlier that thing was not taken care. Or straight away I would say that a professional is exposing himself for that kind of the inquiry. So it is always very helpful and in the interest of the chartered accountant to verify form number before actually uploading. Many a times the deduction claim in case of the MAT credit, in case of the brought forward depreciation or the losses, differences are there between the audit report and tax return. So please try to avoid that. If required, you can compare the last year's return which was uploaded, last year's audit report which was uploaded, take the proper explanation, do the needful reconciliation, take the corrective action, and then prepare the current year's tax audit report. And generally we know that tax audit report and return are normally filed in 90% cases by the same office. Yes, in case of the major corporates, it is possible that the tax audit report will be uploaded by some other chartered accountant, return may be uploaded by other professional differently. But it can be a good practice if possible, particularly in the medium-sized cases, that once you are ready to upload the tax rate report, also get the return ready. Also compare the audit report and return to make sure that there is no discrepancy or inconsistency. And then only upload the tax rate report and then immediately file the return itself. The reason I will tell you. As a chartered accountant, we are under obligation and we are bound by the code of conduct and professional ethics. SSC is not bound. So tomorrow, if tax return is uploaded, though SSC has approved and agreed, at the time of filing the return, SSC can take a different time. And at that time, it will be duty of the chartered accountant certifying that why that point was not considered. So in order to avoid those kind of situation of the conflict, always better to have a look at the income tax return also and make sure that both are consistent, there is no discrepancy. Now today, there are practical problems in accessing the new income tax portal. So what is happening that many times we are not able to download the required other form any not other document. Say for example, recently today only we are verifying that an SSC had received a communication in email about, let's say, 147 or 148 or reopening or whatever, even 153C cases, correct? Nowadays, lot of 153 notices are coming, as you know, and department is asking 2010 cases, they are reopening, and they are asking the details of 2010. Recently, yesterday only, we came across one case where some action of survey or such was taken in 2018, March 2018. And now there is a 153C notice pertaining to a transaction undertaken in 2010. So, you know, we are talking of 10, 11 years before. So one need to be very careful, but those notices are not uploaded. I think it takes around a day or two to get it uploaded. So to that extent, I would say till the synchronization is required from the government side, because any document coming from the system has to be uploaded and should be available. Then many a time there is no consistency reflecting outstanding demand or income tax portal. We have seen the cases where today you will check, you will find that there is zero demand outstanding. Probably you will talk to the client that there is no demand outstanding. Tomorrow client will say, look, there is a demand 7 days back, and you are telling me there is no demand. You will go to the portal and you will find there is outstanding demand. Third day, probably some other refreshing has been done and there is no outstanding demand. So I believe these are the teething issues, and we hope that Infosys and the team will be able to solve this problem very soon. But till that time, we have to bear with it, and we have to understand that we cannot do or we cannot escape any liability, any responsibility, or any kind of take the, I would say, undue advantage of the functionality not performing. In case if it is not there, make sure you reply. Even if not, you need to submit it physically. If email address is available, you can reply, within the given time period. But make sure the compliance is being done, because merely because the functionality was not working will not be a good excuse in eyes of the law later on. Then right now, when you go to the DSC registration, the forgot password is not working in many cases. So what happens in those cases? You have to write the grievance or go to the customer care, and then they will do the needful. Then sometimes even before the session time is finished, there is an automatic logout. So remember to either keep clicking or doing some activity. Otherwise, system will automatically log out. We don't know, there may be some technical, like some time period, time limitation, whereby even if the screen remains idle, it will automatically log you out, though the session time is not finished. So session time is the overall limit, but there is a provision of the automatic logout as well. This is done mainly to ensure that, suppose if somebody is, got up from the chair, and then someone else sitting and doing something unintentionally, resulting into some wrong data feeding, may not happen. Then in few cases we have observed that even though the challan has been paid correctly through net banking with the correct PAN number, assessment year, correct type of payment, challan set of option is not working properly. Error showing that no challans available for setup. Even if you have a challan available with you, which is duly paid, digitally paid with the correct PAN, correct assessment year, correct thing. So I think, still that sort of data compatibility or, the synchronization of the data is taking place. And probably since they are working on manifold, what is happening? Something is getting corrected, and as a consequence, something may get affected. So technically, the wrong way to go, not in terms of time, but in terms of efforts and quality for the portal. But I think I am hopeful for the next year, as Sunil Bhai said, and we really feel that this will be one of the best portal in the world if it really works and functions to its proper level, and we will be then required to work on the more intelligent or a chartered accountant level work rather than merely a clerical or the procedural part. So I think with this background, we have about 10 minutes, so let us handle the questions if you have, and I will try to answer in the best possible way. So we'll now keep the forum open for the question. Yes. Uh, 1 minute. Can you type your query? I think Bandari ji. You can unmute.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. First of all, very excellent session. Need of the hour.
Thank you very much.
Goosebumps. We are getting goosebumps while accessing the new portal.
I could see that you were very attentive and all throughout.
Any
You were very much
questions? Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, my query is, suppose the SSC's turnover is say 3 crores rupees, right? And his total receipts and total payments for cash are within 5%. But he wants to go for the audit.
He can always go for it, no problem.
So in 3CD, right, we have to select the clauses. So
Correct.
which clause should we select?
No, in that case, technically the clause will be, like category between 1 to 10 crore, but not going for that option. So it will be a simple business category. You don't have to disclose that your receipts and payments are more than 95% electronic. Because once you choose that option, by default, you are committing or you are undertaking that the receipts are more than 95% electronic format as well as the payments are. So you don't choose that option. So automatically your limit will come down to 1 crore. That means you are not exercising the additional option given to you for availing the limit up to 10 crore.
Okay, man, you are suggesting we should clause A, exceeding the threshold limit.
Yeah, because there is no other option. Otherwise, you cannot select any other option.
Okay, and what if the turnover is less than 1 crore and the SSC wants to, the client wants to go for audit? Say 90 lakhs is the turnover, right? And his profits are more than 8%.
Correct.
And still he wants to go for audit because of bank purpose or some loan purpose, finance purpose.
No, I differ here. We see if they want to go for the bank purpose or loan purpose, they can get the account audited differently. For example, income tax audit is the audit as per the income tax act. Generally, what happens? Income tax audit is related to the more specific items of income tax, like allowable expenditure, income not credited to P&L account, and all those, right? Probably the bankers or the loan part, they are more interested in the correctness of the figures, revenue part, or the profitability part. Correct?
Right.
So, in my opinion, if that is the purpose, they can go for the independent verification by a chartered accountant, not necessarily the tax audit. However, if they want to go for the tax audit, again they have to choose that option only and go for the tax audit.
Okay.
The next question.
Thank you, sir.
Do we need to register DSC on new portal also?
Yeah, see, for the DSC registration, as I told you, there are a problem right now, because what is happening now, there are 3 options. Earlier, what was happening, you had to definitely do it. Now there is a EM bridge. Now there is a utility called EM Bridge, which is available. So once you have that downloaded, automatically it will capture the DSC. It will ask you which company DSC, which certificate, and once you select it correctly, it will automatically capture the DSC. So there is no need to re-register DSC, because earlier it was a separate and an independent platform. Now, if you install EM Bridge, it will directly recognize all the DSC.
Is rectification under section 154 working for AY 2021 properly? I think it's not working.
No, I think there are problems. Yeah, there are
problems.
there are issues.
Then the next. Reissue of refund for the AY 17-18 in case of scrutiny under section 143(3) is not available for SSE. ITO is also not able to reissue.
Track it.
Solution.
Yeah, see, these are the problems definitely available. But what will happen? One needs to write to the grievance. There are 6 tabs available. This will fall under the CPC. If the refund is arising due to the TDS mismatch, they can select CPC TDS, otherwise CPC ITR, and then appropriately they can raise the grievance. And once they will raise the grievance, within few days, they will get the answer.
Okay. The next is in CA login from AY 14-15 are showing for acceptance or rejection.
Yeah. Now let me explain you this part. I think I did not deal with. Earlier, what was happening in case of tax audit, the CA used to get the option of uploading. Now in the new portal, there is a totally different system for the CA. First of all, even if doesn't want to get the tax audit, there is an option of selecting a charter account number 1. So what will happen? They will enter the detail of the charter account. In the old portal, by default, CA was assigned by the SSC. Even if CA doesn't want to do anything, he cannot do anything because there was no communication coming to the charter account. Of course, he had an option not to validate any filing, but SSC could link his portal with the CA. Now here, the moment SSC will select a charter accountant, that message or the pop-up will be enabled in the CA login. So whenever CA will log in, it will reflect that these are the SSCs where they have asked or requested for that charter accountant. And only once the CA will accept it, it will be linked with the SSC and the charter account. And again, not necessarily that the same CA will have to be used for the tax audit. There can be different CA for different forms, different audit. So every time there will be an option of selecting an auditor with the return and form number, particularly as per the requirement of the law. But I think they're good feature actually. CA can afford not to link the SSC if they are not comfortable of they are not really associated with the SSC actually. Otherwise, later on it can be a question that you allowed and you were associated even if you have not signed the audit report.
Next question.
May I?
Yeah, I think tax payable return are uploaded. I have experience. I agree. See, as I told you, the teaching problem, and because they are day and night working, so it is quite possible that 5 PM today you will not be able to do. At 7 PM it could be done because see these are live. See, one thing I tell you, I would wish, and every one of us is aware that this thing could have been done as a parallel on a trial basis. Usually, even in a small and medium organization, when we change the accounting system from Tally to ERP or any Oracle database, what we do, we have a parallel run for 3 to 6 months. I think here, probably that parallel run has not happened. And unfortunately, it has been made live. And imagine it is 130 crore people. Imagine the number of taxpayers, imagine the data, the number of transactions, the number of tax payments, number of form number 26 says, form number 16. So it is a very, very huge data. I would say probably in the entire world next to China only. So naturally, the problems are going to be there. So I would not be surprised for this year, everything happen. But remember one thing, nothing will be allowed later on. Ultimately, at one point of time, maybe November and December, and everything will be corrected, and you will get a query that this was not done properly. Of course, they will have to give the opportunity, because at that time the server accepted, so they cannot straight away deny or make it invalidate, but they will give an opportunity. Are
ITR,
we
yes,
able
yes.
to submit the request to receive the refund now? Yes, I mean, see, you are asking in connection with something. Respect towards the signing of the finance. Since the finance signed with security, the tax rate, how can we accept them? And it's correct. I think Mr. Pratham Jain is asking a very basic question. He says that the finance is signed by the statutory auditor. But then see, these are basic fundamental, nothing to do with the portal. Even in the 85, when the tax rate was introduced, at that time, this was very well known that audit can be done by other chartered accountant, tax auditor can be a different, correct? And again, as a tax auditor, you have all the right, and you can report in the appropriate column wherever you don't agree with the financier. So it is not that you have to take it as a face value, but generally what will happen, the scope and the guideline of both the audits are different, reporting formats are different. Again, statutory audit are, sometimes in the format of the report where it is an expression of the opinion, while the tax audit form number 3CD, many a time it is a certification of the fact. The responsibility is more on the tax audit part. So the factual portion, like delay in the PF deposit, or like TDS return filed, if late filed correctness, the detail of the inadmissible expenditure, payment of more than 10,000, probably statutory auditors may not be liable, because they can take the plea of the materiality, or doing the audit on a sampling basis, or having the documentation or the working paper, carrying out the proper audit procedure. They can take that defense, which is available as per our CA guideline. But tax auditor cannot take this.
Thank you, Sanjay. The next ITR5 Excel form is getting uploaded. There is a question.
Yeah, I think they are getting uploaded, but there are some issues. But it is possible. I think today you can try again, and it is happening.
One more about what is your view about AIS?
AIS. Annual Information System. Yeah. See, basically, I would say AIS is nothing but a compilation of the data. It is always better to look at it. You cannot ignore it. It is only a mirror of what data is available with the department. And if you are aware, then in case by chance you have forgotten or you missed to appropriately reflect, then it will give an opportunity to reflect. Because now what is happening? Income tax return many times is not only income tax return. Say for example, schedule of assets and liabilities, more than 50 of income. You need to disclose all the assets, liabilities, or sometimes, the gift, for example, though they are not forming part of the income, you have to disclose that what is the amount, relation, and all that. So these all details need to be correctly, see, if they are reflected in the return, probably they will be synchronized and no further question may be asked unless for some other reason. But if they are primarily not matching, definitely a communication will come.
The next question is, what is the procedure to verify the UDIN later on? UDIN generate and return in 3CD, but no functionality while uploading the report.
No, right now I think
there is no procedure, but yes, it will be announced later. I think
it will be announced. So you can go ahead, no problem. They will come out with the necessary.
You have to just keep the track that how much we have uploaded and.
Correct. And in any case, UDIN is governed by our institute by and large generally, right? So our institute is given the 60 days period and all that. So if you are doing your work properly, generated UDIN properly, it is only a question of verification by the portal, which they can do even directly the ICAI portal. I will be able to express my, may unmute? I think yes. Let me, where is unmute? Can you unmute Mr. Pratham Jain?
Yes,
I don't know.
I'm trying.
Yes. Okay. Hello. Sir, I have unmuted myself.
Yeah.
So my query is, when we upload the tax audit report, the first step is of the assessee.
assessee uploads its P&L balance sheet and notes to accounts. And then the pop-up arises in the tax professional's login under the work list that he has to accept the financials that are uploaded by the assessee. So my question here is, why should I accept the financials that are signed by the stat auditor?
No,
Because means
yeah, let me tell you. In the form number 3CA, very first line, you are writing that the accounts of so and so entity have been audited by so and so firm as per so and so act, right? For example, statutory audit. We are mentioning that the statutory audit was conducted by Mr. so and so as per the report dated so and so. So here, by endorsing it, you are not taking any additional liability because you are appropriately disclosing that they have been audited by other firm in accordance with the law. But now that you have to carry out the tax audit, it is integral part that you say that yes, these are the report, financial report, on which you are expressing your 3CD. So that later on client do not say that no, these are not the financials which I had given for the tax audit, for example.
If there is any disagreement, always
Yeah.
write in our observations, whatever.
Yeah. So it's a basic thing. I think nothing great about it. It's a basic thing actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think let's complete.
Yeah.
See, on behalf of Ahmedabad branch and all the participants who have joined, we are extremely thankful to you, Sanjay. Always you are ready on our platform whenever we seek the help, assistance. Always you are ready for that, and we would like to see you in future again. And
Thank you very much, Sunil bhai,
for sparing the time. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Sunil bhai, for the nice words again. And I'm thankful to all the. I think there are more than 192 participants, 192 at one point of time, and I am glad that everybody liked. And as we know, it's a process and the journey.
This is the only.
Yeah. It's an ongoing process. But I'm sure that we will have a very good experience of the new portal. I'm very hopeful and optimistic that it will be helpful to the chartered accountant. Right now, what is happening? We are wasting more than our 80% for the procedural part. So those things will be done already. Thank you very much, Ahmedabad branch. Thank you, Harit bhai, Sunil bhai, Anjali ji, and thank you all the participants.
Thank you. And I believe one more session would be required somewhere after 1 month. Because
sure.
Portal issues is again the continuous process.
Yeah, at least
for this, by the next 2, 3, 4 months, it seems.
Till 15th February, at least new issues will keep coming.
I personally believe that due date of 31st December also may be extended. That is my personal view. Let's see.
But I, as a professional, I am not in favor of that because it is eating our time for the current year. As a professional, we are not able to do what we are required to do for the financial year 21-22. What is happening to our ongoing audits? We are not able to devote that, and our entire team is focusing on the past year compliance.
Slow down. The work also slow down.
So anyhow, I agree with you that government may have to do so for its own reason.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.